All right, well, welcome everybody to our March Learning Our Landscape presentation. Today we're going to do a little bit different talk than what we've done the previous months, and today I'm just going to focus on an update from the North Olympic History Center. As always, this presentation will be recorded and posted on the Jamestown Tribal Library's YouTube page. The North Olympic History Center acknowledges that we do our works on the lands of the first people of this area, the S'Klallam, Makah, Quileute, and Hoh River tribes. We recognize the rich and important history of the tribal nations in S'Klallam County and commit our work to this tribal land acknowledgement to work together collectively to help preserve and share their histories. We had a very big year here at the North Olympic History Center. We've been working on lots of different projects, so I'm going to try and rattle through them all and just give you kind of a big picture glimpse at what all we've been up to, and then dive into just a couple of the actual collections that we've been processing in our archives lately. We had a great year in 2022. We started a couple new programs and continued on with some existing programs. The biggest or the most fun to me is the Learning Our Landscape presentation series. And we reached, between live programs and the recorded YouTube videos, we reached over 1,700 people last year, teaching them about the landscape of the North Olympic Peninsula, which is really great. We also conducted I did 4 history hikes in partnership with the Jefferson County Historical Society this last year. We met and walked at Indian Island, Chimacum Creek, Irondale. Then we went over to the Katai Prairie was actually where we started. So we started in eastern Jefferson County. We're going to move over a little bit this year, a little bit farther west. So this year we've got 2 history hikes planned. One is going to be at Anderson Lake State Park, and then we're going to have another one at Discovery Bay. So please stay tuned for more information on those. And you can find out more and you can register for those with the Jefferson County Historical Society at their website. We conducted a couple different archival and document preservation workshops. We did some with our volunteers and interested members of the Historical Society here in Port Angeles. We also did them via Zoom with both the Jamestown S'Klallam tribal community and the Lower Elwha S'Klallam tribal community this past year. Basically teaching people some tips and tricks on how to preserve their personal family archival collections, photographs, newspapers, documents, what have you, on a home budget, which is pretty fun. And we did record those workshops. So if there's anybody in the audience interested in ever viewing one of those, please just reach out and let us know. I gave not countless, but quite a few public presentations this past year to groups like Peninsula College, the South Bay Community Association down in Port Ludlow, Friends of Fort Flagler, the S'Klallam County School Retirees Association, Seroptimist International, Daughters of the American Revolution. It was a very long list. And so if you're part of a local interest group that's interested in history or any of these subjects, please contact us, and we're always happy to set up presentations with them. This past April, we had our first ever Piece of the Peninsula online auction. So as many of you know, we previously here at the Historical Society did our week-long garage sales. We're starting to phase those out as we're working through trying to find a new use for the Lincoln School, which I'll talk about in a few slides. So we're getting away from the practice of having a week-long in-person garage sale, and we're transitioning to doing a week-long online auction that features some really cool vintage items, some really cool antiques, but also local activities, and then contemporary artwork by local artists from the North Olympic Peninsula. So we'll be doing that again this year. Push the date back a little bit to April 17th for this year, but please tune in for that and check it out. There's going to be lots of cool stuff available. We had a booth at the Clallam County Fair, which was great to meet people, network with them, start getting the word out on the Lincoln School and what we're doing there. We also connected with local farmers and producers this past fall, same as we did in 2021, to host a Wednesday night street market here on our corner at 8th and C Street. Hopefully we'll be doing that again this year. It's been a great way. We had farmers from Wild Edge Farm, Hidden Penny Farm, Wildling Farm, Goodness Tea. I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm missing, but roughly a half a dozen different local farmers and producers out for a couple hours on Wednesday nights to connect with the local community and provide them an opportunity to buy produce, local produce and local pasture-raised meats at a venue that was in the middle of the week and not in the where the downtown farmers market is, but here on the west side of Port Angeles. We also had a really fun volunteer appreciation brunch on November 1st, which is the picture on your bottom right, and had everybody come get together, had some tasty goodies, and got to sort of network and start building connections between our existing longtime volunteers and all of the new volunteers who had joined us this past year, which is really great. This past year, we did some amazing fundraising, raising almost $400,000 for the North Olympic History Center. The vast majority of that, almost $300,000, came from a bequest from Virginia Fitzpatrick, who was dedicated to the Clallam County Historical Society for almost her entire life. She served both as a volunteer and a staff member of the History Center for over 50 years. In 1989, she was chosen as one of the finalists for the Citizen of the Year Award, and continued to work for the History Center and to promote the History Center until she passed away last year. We miss her greatly, and we greatly appreciate her contribution, which is going to really help us broaden or expand our ability to preserve our collections over the next couple years. I want to say a huge thank you to all of our volunteers. I'm the only paid staff member here at the History Center, and I would not be able to do what I do without their assistance. They're the glue that keeps this organization together. And this past year, we had 22 volunteers committed over 3,000 hours of their time to the History Center, working on collection digitization projects, completing research requests in our library, construction projects, helping maintain our buildings, help making improvements to our buildings. And so I just am so appreciative for every single one of you and all that you do. And thank you so much. And let's keep the good work going. Some of those projects that we've been working on, we installed a 6-foot security fence around our campus to help us address issues that we've been having with vandalism. And we also I've installed 4 new security cameras. We put up no trespassing signs and signed a trespass authorization order with the Port Angeles Police Department. And we also upgraded our fire safety. We installed new fire emergency lights and replaced all of our fire extinguishers with new modern fire extinguishers. So, oh, and finally, the bottom left picture is a Knox box, which is great. It actually holds keys to all of our buildings. In the event of an emergency, the fire department can open that box, grab a key out, and get in the building without having to knock down our front door with an axe. So that's great news when you work in the museum world. You never want your front door kicked down. So another big project that we've been working on is trying to find a new use for the Lincoln School. When the Historical Society originally purchased our campus in 1991, the original intention was to convert the Lincoln School into the Clallam County Museum. At this point, our organization recognizes that it would cost, just guesstimating right now, somewhere between $10 and $12 million to convert the building into a museum, because you have to have there's climate control, security, and a lot of other issues that really make it difficult to convert an older building to that sort of a use. So as such, what we've been doing is a couple different things. We've been doing outreach to different organizations, primarily nonprofits and other community-centric organizations here in Port Angeles and North Olympic Peninsula area, just informing them that this property would make a great community center or other community-centered space here in West Port Angeles, and there's a need for it here in the community. I gave dozens of tours to different organizations. We sent out letters to nonprofits, to all of our local political leaders, city council, state representatives, etc. We are also in the process of cleaning up and organizing the Lincoln School, which for the last roughly 30 years has been used as storage for our organization. And so, a lot of stuff has been piled up in there. And so we're working our way through all of those materials, sorting through what's going to need to get put back into our collections building here, what items are going to go into the vintage and garage sale, and what items just get sent to the dump, because there is some stuff in there that's just it's going to the dump. So that's what we've been doing for the past couple months. Right now, we're in the process of drafting a request for proposals for the Lincoln School building. We're hoping to have that RFP out by the end of the month. Again, we're going to send that out to all of those nonprofits, developers, representatives that I mentioned, and hopefully try and find an organization or a coalition of a couple different organizations that would be hopefully willing to save the building or to use that space for some community purpose. So please stay in the loop, and you can always find out more about this project on our website, northolympichistory.org. One of our other big projects here in our artifact storage facility, and last year we applied for and were awarded about a $5,000 grant from the Clallam County Heritage Advisory Board, and that purchased additional wire rack art storage that we desperately needed in our archives. And so if you look in these photos, the ones that we got with the grant is the row of wire racks that are up there just along under the ceiling line. So basically that whole upper row is what we added this year. And then you can see there in the bottom right image that we reorganized all of our artwork and hung it back up. It's now sorted alphabetically, which makes it a lot easier to track down individual pieces. So that's been a huge step for us. And what that's going to allow us to do now is we got the new wire racks up. We reorganized all of our artwork alphabetically. I had a volunteer go through and do a complete inventory of all of our large hanging artwork. And then next up, we're going to photograph it all and get that all in Past Perfect, so that hopefully by the end of this year, I would guesstimate it's around 150 to 200 pieces of our large hanging artwork will be available for the public to access via our Past Perfect web catalog. So stay tuned for that as well, please. And another picture of Steve Hargis, one of our new board directors, who's always hard at work on different projects around here. We had this big back double door here in the artifact storage facility that was it was a redundant. There's another doorway right next to it, so it was unnecessary. It was a security risk, and it was actually we had leak issues coming through the bottom of the doorway. So Steve went ahead and closed up that doorway for us. And now he's in the process of installing shelving units on the inside. And what was formerly basically a small storage cubby in the back corner of our ASF building is now going to be converted into our exhibit fabrication and artifact photography studio. So one of the things that's tricky about artifact photography is this whole big lighting and photography rig that you have to set up. And so right now, our volunteers who are doing the photography have to set that rig up every single time they're going to do photography on our conference room table, and then they have to tear it back down because we have meetings on that same table. So this will really help us streamline that process a lot, and basically leave a permanently set up photography desk in the back room, so that anytime a volunteer needs to work on something, they can just pop in there and get it done. And a huge thank you to Steve, who has just been a wonder man around these parts with knocking out these projects one after another. It's been great. Another one of our directors hard at work, Lori Davies, went through and reorganized our newspaper collection, which had slowly gotten sort of a little bit disorganized. So you can see the picture on the left behind her. That's kind of what she started with, just a big mix of different boxes that were totally out of order with other newspapers shoved in. And then you can see on the picture on the right, the beautiful organized shelves, how we like to see them. For any of you who don't know, we have an absolutely massive collection of historic periodicals from the North Olympic Peninsula, published between, I believe the earliest were published in the 1850s, 1860s, all the way up through, I think we get to like the 1970s or 80s with the Port Angeles Evening News. Our other huge project this past year was we debuted our online catalog, which you can view at www.nohc.catalogaccess.com. We basically upgraded our Past Perfect museum catalog software to their web edition, which then makes all of our museum catalog records searchable on the internet. So there's currently right around 17,000 records in our web catalog. We have more on the back end, but what we've done is we've selectively chosen records that have descriptions and have good information in them as being available. And now what we're doing is slowly adding new records as we go, adding new accession and catalog records as we go. And I'll give an example of a couple of those at the end of this presentation. But this has been huge for us. You know, so much of our collections and the stuff that we've been working on and cataloging them, all of that documentation is basically sat siloed here in-house. And if a researcher, a member of the public was interested in something, they had to contact our researchers and started very basic steps of having our researchers track down what it was. This helps streamline our whole research request process, because it allows members of the public to go in, look through our collections, figure out what they want to look at, send us an email or give us a call and let us know what you're interested in, and we can have it available right away. So it streamlines our research request process and just makes our collections all the more accessible to everybody, which is what we're all about here at the History Center. So far, and this list needs to be updated because there's now over 2,000 keyword searches. But I thought it would be interesting just to show you guys some of the things about our access site. The top 3 search terms from this past year was McClinton, which I'm guessing is probably one of our volunteers and board members who's been working on the McClinton photo collection, searching in there. And then the Elwha Dam and Salmon Derby were the other 2 big hits. This past year, we updated 17,051 records in Past Perfect. We updated or created 94 people or creator records, these are the records that document who's creating what you're looking at. So say if you were looking at our artwork collection, it's great to have the catalog records for each piece of artwork in there, but now we're actually building out records on the individual artists themselves. And documenting, you know, their lives, what they did, and connecting them with other items in our collections, which has been really cool. We've updated 51 accession records and created 34 authority files. The authority files are what help me on the collections and identify where physically in our collections an item is. So now that I've built out authority files, what we're going to be able to do is down to an actual folder level, be able to identify exactly where a file is in our archive. So it'll have the file, then it'll have the box, then it'll have the shelf, then it'll have the shelving unit, bay, and then it'll have it'll have the bay and then which unit and which side it's on. So that's just helping us get much better intellectual control over our collections here at the History Center. In the bottom center, you can see an example of what one of those photo records looks like. Object name. The catalog number is also, we call it object ID. That's what you're going to want to use if you want to, say, have a photo reproduced or copied by our research library. That catalog number is what you're going to want to send us. And then you've got just a general description and then search terms. And again, this is something that we're working on, is building out, adding more search terms, adding more metadata to make these records more useful. Volunteer Eve Dadisman, who's also now an advisory director on our board, has been working on digitizing photos from the 1914 Port Angeles regrade. You may have also heard it as sluicing the hogback. We had this amazing photo album donated last year by John Warder, and it's the photo album is from the city engineer, and it's documenting before, during, and after the regrade project. And Eve has done an absolutely exceptional job in detailing information on what businesses, buildings you can see in every one of these photos. So you can see on the right side of your screen here, in our one of our other directors, Bruce, has done a really great job in doing this layout where it breaks down each side, what you're seeing on each side of the road. So on the left side of Front Street, there is the Rice and Curtis Barber Shop. Then you can see the Francis Hotel, then the Merrill & Co. Groceries and Meats. And so for every one of these photos, I believe there's about 120 photos in the album. Eve is working her way through documenting all of these. So we'll be getting that out on exhibit soon. I think I've got another example or two here. Okay, so these are great. The photo on the right side, you can see this is before the sluicing occurs. The original street level you can see is actually about 9 to 10 feet below where the gentleman is standing over on the right side of that image. That's the sidewalk level where there's the railed landing. If you look in the center of this photo, you can see something that looks kind of like a brick kiln in the middle of the road with a cap on the top. That's actually the sewer manhole on the top and then a chimney. And so essentially, as they started to fill it up, that manhole that's on the top of that chimney, that's street level now. So all of that was backfilled with mud that was sluiced off of the hogback on the east side of town. The picture on the left side here gives you another good idea. You can see how they built a wall that channeled the sludge as it came off the hillside and kept it packed in there. And then you can see the sidewalk on the other side of that wall. So if you're familiar with the Port Angeles underground tours that are offered today, that's where those underground tours take place, is in that area that's walled off there, that's now underground. Those were the original ground level shops, entry level of the shops and buildings on Front Street. That's not now all underground. Another one of our volunteers, Becky Sherman, has been working on digitizing sketches by local artist Esther Webster. Back in 1991, over 400 of these sketches were donated by Russell Dalton. And what Becky's working on is photographing, cataloging, and then storing each of these sketches in a transparent archival sleeve. And these are actively getting added to Past Perfect. Basically, as we speak, I believe Becky's added about 100 of them in the last month or two. So please check them out on the catalog access site, and please keep tuning in because new ones will be added for the next couple months until we get them all up there. And these sketches are absolutely amazing. There's sketches that feature local scenes. Then there's sketches that Esther did on cruises while she was on cruises in Europe that are done on, and there's sketches that she did when she was traveling in New York. So one of the fun things that Becky has been doing is actually researching the letterhead that's on some of these sketches, because she basically would just grab a sheet of paper from wherever she was, whatever hotel, whatever business she was at, and she would sketch on it. And so we've got sketches that were done on paper from the Roosevelt Hotel in New York. And we've got sketches that were done in certain hotels in London, which is really cool to be able to actually match those up with what she was drawing on the sheet of paper. And these two, you can see the Lee Hotel here in Port Angeles, and then the Clallam Grain Company in her very distinct style. I love these two sketches. The one on the left is from a meeting here in Port Angeles, and then the sketch on the right is actually probably a model posing for an art class. There's a whole series of sketches that she did, sketching models in art classes. And then my personal favorite are her sketches of critters. There's lots of cow sketches and lots of cats with kitten sketches that are very, very adorable. So again, all of those will be online soon, available for public access. And then we've also got some new exhibits coming up soon. The Port Angeles Visitor Center, we should have a new panel up in there by the end of March. That's right there by the wharf downtown. And then we've actually got some really nice exhibit cases in the Federal Building, which is the old post office, right across the street from Country Air Market on First Street in downtown Port Angeles. So we're going to be installing some new exhibits in those cases in early April. So please plan on stopping by maybe mid to late April in the Federal Building and checking out our new exhibits there. And that wraps it up. So here's a list of our 2023 programs. If you're interested in any of these, please contact me. Or like I mentioned earlier with the history hikes, which we do with Jefferson County Historical Society, you can find out more information about those programs and registration at their website, which is JC. Oh my goodness, I think jeffersoncountymuseum.org. You're gonna have to double check that on me. And we do have a survey that we're going to go ahead and push out to all of you guys that we need to do for the tribe's grant reporting. So if you can go ahead and stick around to do the survey, and then after the survey, I am happy to take any questions that you may have. So let me stop sharing my screen.